the creator of Call of Duty and Titanfall and Apex Legends and just a bunch of stuff. Battlefield, a bunch of stuff. He's worked on so much. Vince Zampella has died. He was only 55 years old. He was just in a car accident, and unfortunately, it sounds like a family member, possibly his wife, was in the vehicle at the time. And I want to talk about this not just because of the impact of Vince Zampella. I think a lot of people now kind of hate Call of Duty. Call of Duty has fallen, and in a lot of ways that's because Vince is no longer involved with it. But I kind of want to talk about this just because, honestly, I'm afraid that we're about to start seeing this a lot more. The industry has aged up. So many of the games that we grew up with loving the most, the creator of Final Fantasy, Hironobu Sakaguchi, he's getting up there. The guy who did all the Final Fantasy music, Nobuo Uematsu, is now already officially retired. The makers of Zelda, Mario, all these people are really getting up into their 80s and stuff. But obviously Vince is a much younger man, 55. To say this guy is a pioneer is an understatement, but I want to look at the reactions to it and a very heartfelt statement published by Jeff Keighley. Let's get into it. Hi. I usually start my videos by saying, hey there gamers, DreamcastGuy here, like and subscribe, but I really want to just focus on the impact of Vince. Even on Twitter, people are just so aghast. Horrible news, ripped to an industry legend. This year sucks. And it's funny that, honestly, he's the creator of the press F to pay respects. Like, Call of Duty had good times and bad times, but they were all very, very Vince. Infinity Ward and Respawn Entertainment are two of the most influential studios in history, and Vince Zampella founded both. His resume is unmatched, leaving behind a legacy that will be studied by developers for decades. God, single car crash reported at 12:45 p.m. on the scenic road north of Los Angeles. Southbound car veered off the road, hit a concrete barrier. Passenger was ejected. The driver was trapped in an ensuing fire. Oh, man. Right before the holidays as well. Oh, man. I wanted to look at this, though, because it is just wild to me how much he did. There are certain just people inside of gaming that seem to have the Midas touch. Anything they do turns to gold. This guy, it's wild to think about the fact that not only did he do Titanfall, not only did he do Call of Duty, which is one of the highest selling game franchises every single year, he knew it was good. I feel like the thing I always think about when it comes to really crazy developers like Vince is, how did you get this so right? Call of Duty is such juggernaut. And even those classic things, every time you level up, getting that guitar riff, having those crazy multi-kills, the hit counters and stuff, right? Vince, to say he's a pioneer does not do justice to Vince. He is beyond a pioneer. He is literally a legend. I'm glad people are already throwing that word around. Rip to him. Medal of Honor, Call of Duty, Titanfall, Apex Legends, and he even helped build Battlefield 6. So this is something I talked about publicly. Part of the reason that Battlefield 6 is so good, they purposely took a couple of years off after Battlefield 2042, and they had Vince Zampella help build Battlefield 6 to be better than Call of Duty, and he did it successfully. Tragic and a horrific way to die. This man makes some of the quality teen memories for me. Heartbreaking news. Jesus Christ, completely unexpected. Jeff Keighley just made this post just a while ago, and I ain't gonna lie, it got me in the feels. Vince was an extraordinary person, a gamer at heart, but also a visionary executive with a rare ability to recognize talent and give people the freedom and confidence to create something truly great. I saw that up close with The Final Hours of Titanfall. The Final Hours is this documentary series that now Jeff Keighley doesn't really do, but Jeff Keighley actually got his start doing these documentaries where you actually see about that final crunch when every developer, every person is just there doing the final bug testing, doing the final balancing, doing the final packaging, and getting it out there. And he did one about Titanfall, about how wild Titanfall was from the very start, the passion, the community, the balancing of it, right? I was always deeply grateful that he trusted me to tell a story of the company's founding. Even when it was difficult or uncomfortable, Vince never wavered in his commitment to honesty and transparency. He believed that the truth mattered, and he was willing to share it with the world. Vince cared deeply about doing the right thing. And even while working inside large organizations, he constantly pushed to put players first, to prioritize the experience, the craft, and the people who played his games. This is one of the things that seems like one of the reasons that he originally left behind Call of Duty is just how monetized it got. He felt like it was just being too manipulative, too predatory to the player instead of just being a great yearly shooter. He leaves behind an incredible legacy of work. I'll miss our dinners and long conversations, and while I created some of the most influential games of our time, I always felt he had his greatest one ahead of him. It's heartbreaking that we'll never get to play it. I think with any artist, the thing that's the hardest to kind of grapple with is those unfinished ideas, right? Vince created and created and created. He lifted people up. He made stuff. He went out there and said, there is a better class of shooter, and I'm going to make it. 55 years old is so wildly young. The fact that he was still out there, he could have retired. He was still out there. Battlefield 6 is a banger this year. I'm glad that people are really just giving him his flowers. I'm glad that in life he was very valued. Everybody loved him, but what a horrible... One of the greatest minds in the industry. This is so sad. He shaped the modern FPS as we know it. I mean, undeniably. This is a massive loss for the industry. He was really the guy with the Midas touch for successful shooters. He wasn't just a legendary creative person like some famous industry names, but when you think about it, success as the lead designer and head of studios, Zampella was arguably the greatest ever. It's just, I feel like I'm afraid in a way about how many losses we're having like this, you know? I was very, very affected, obviously, when Satoru Iwata, the president of Nintendo, passed away, gosh, almost 10 years ago at this point, you know? I almost feel like I'm just thinking about the fact that this industry is going to face a lot more loss. I feel like I don't want to mention Hideo Kojima or stuff like that, but I don't know. I keep thinking about all the iconic legends I love the most. Shinji Mikami, the creator of Resident Evil and stuff. So many of the people that made this industry from the ground up, that made the games, that made the art, that made the influence, that made the shadow that everybody is still trying to build in. I'm afraid about what happens when those people start passing away. You know, old age gets us all eventually. Or in this case, a terrible, tragic accident. This is just a rambly, off-the-cuff little video, because honestly, it's just so dang unfortunate. Man. I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to go play some Titanfall 2. It's usually on sale for like $1 everywhere. If you've never played Titanfall 2, you owe it to yourself, and in this circumstance, you kind of owe it to Vince. I love you guys very much. Keep gaming and keep dreaming.